chapter clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic. CVW Beach Top 20, Episode 1, Week 1 recap, Week 2 preview. On screen, Jaden Whitmarsh of UCLA, Kylie Wickley of Texas, and Kelly Belardi of Stanford. And I do need to say, it's pretty awesome when one of your contributors gets the AVCA Player of the Week, the Pac-12 Player of the Week. What else did you get? All World. You become a Nobel Peace Prize recipient, and you won Lotto. So, Pair of the week, pair of the tournament, most outstanding pair at the outrigger as well. And Jaden was there as well. But we'll talk about that as we get into our show. But ladies, thanks for joining me again this week.
Thank you.
Well, as always, we always start with what were some of the key duels or tourneys that we saw this week. And I know there was a lot, being that it was week 1. And since Kylie's the red shirt on screen, she said that she got to watch a lot. So let's start with her and see what she says, because she is the experienced baller.
I thought, well, it was funny, like 2 weeks ago, Kelly talking, like, they were excited to see like how they matched up with everyone, and then they beat everyone, which is awesome. I thought that was really cool. And then UCLA coming back behind, like, for the actual tournament part and winning it. I think it's really awesome, like, how beach is evolving to be one of those sports where, like, it's not the same teams, like, constantly winning everything. Like, I think that's pretty cool. And then ASU going undefeated at that Tampa tournament was
there's some family connections here, isn't there? Someone named Kendall, is she the volleyball crown wearer of the Whitmarsh family?
Yes. I can go next if that's
fine. For sure. Jump on in.
Yeah, kind of going off what Kylie said. Obviously Kelly and I were at the Hawaii tournament, and it was just an absolutely stacked tournament. And like every single match that we played there, I think we played like 7 matches, and every single one was like a crazy dogfight. Like, it was incredible seeing the competition from pairs 1 to 5 be so dominant. So that tournament was great, and I thought it showed a lot of grit from all teams, which was great. And then, like Kylie said, obviously Sun Devils went undefeated at that Tampa tournament and moved up a lot in the rankings, as well as Stanford. I know you guys moved up a bunch. So I think that was really cool to see some people and some teams really step up for their program. So that was awesome.
All right, well, let's ask Kelly her thoughts on the weekend. And I definitely have some thoughts, because I want to thank all the parents out there that were IG living from the Duke Kahanamoku Classic. That was amazing.
Yeah, shout out Cindy. I was watching all your games, Jaden.
Yeah, I feel like just echoing what everyone else said. Like, I think it was so awesome to be there, because the level of play across all flights was extremely, like, competitive. Like, the 5s team, I was like, on majority of teams, I was like, they could probably play at the 3s, like, even higher. And I feel like that's a case where, like, hasn't really been seen before, at least for beach volleyball. And kind of like last time we were talking about juniors and how that level is just like increased so much, and I feel like it's showing in college. But all the teams were great, and like, it's so awesome to see like LMU like beating UCLA, or like us like beating like teams that are ranked higher than us, because it just shows that like so many, any given day, it kind of can go back and forth. I think it was good to see like the season, like kind of what I was saying last time, like how everyone is stacking up, and it seems like just extremely competitive, and every game is so hard, and like I feel like can go both ways, which is how our sport like should be evolving. So I don't know, it was exciting. I loved it. I was talking to Kelly Reeves, who the assistant coach for UCLA, and she was like, this was definitely the highest level of play I've ever seen at this tournament. And I was like, that's just so awesome. Everyone's getting better and better.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that there was another team there, Hawaii, who went 0-5 for the weekend. I'm like, that's not a bad team. But when you invite the top 5 teams to your tournament, you're going to take some losses. So
my game against them, like, it was like the one that went the highest. I mean, all of my games were so close, like, so bad. But that one, I think it was like 18-16 in the third set, which was like the closest game that we've played all weekend. And it was just like, I don't know, any team can win on any day. So that was cool to see too. They were doing super well.
Well, I just think that you and Ashley like going three. Like, oh, you know what? We don't won the first. Let's drop the second, or let's make it interesting. Let's lose the first, win the second, and we'll go deep into the third.
It's so bad. It's so bad. We were both like, we need to stop. We need to pick one, like, and not do that. My mom's like, can you stop doing that? Like, I'm like, I know. I don't know. I don't know why it happens.
Didn't she have a nickname for you guys?
Yeah, she was like, after every game, the drama queen strike again. They love it. Our whole team too, like, can you guys like stop finishing last? And we're like, I know, like, it's like annoying because so like we don't always want to be the ones that are closing it out because the other teams like on our pair like should deserve like as much credit as we do. But I feel like since we were always the last game, it was always like, oh, Kelly and Ashley. But it's like no, like our whole team was doing awesome, you know?
Well, it was a great weekend for sure out in Waikiki on Queens Beach. And gosh, that's like a gauntlet of a tournament to start out the year, but there are other world tournaments going on as well. Tampa really catching the eyes of the nation. They went 2-2, but their wins over ranked FAU and South Carolina were on the radar, and they took a 3-2 loss to Georgia State, which isn't a bad loss. And their threes and fives have been on fire. And I don't know these athletes personally, but it's Haley Wolf and Nevaeh Wolf, and at the fives, Madison Brunick and Keely Hamilton. I mean, some no-namers coming up and taking care of business for Tampa. But do any of you have any experience with any of those athletes or with the Tampa program? And feel free to jump in if you know.
I know the twins, the Wolf twins. I played like P1440 for a while and they played a lot in those. And they were pretty nasty pair. Yeah.
Are they like Angel and Bella Ferrari, the 5'6", tandem
No,
that takes care of business?
they are very different than the Ferrari twins.
I'll have to check their Instagram feed and see what their profile is. And but yeah, so in Tampa they went 2-2, but like I said, they moved into the top 20, which it's amazing. Now both polls are out between the collegebeachvb.com and the AVCA, and College Beach VB liked UCLA at number 1, and then AVCA let me have it up here. UCLA at 1 for the AVCA, and then I think USC stayed at 1. Is that right? In the College Beach VB, Jaden?
No.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
I jumped off my page. So everyone there at 1, but from everywhere else, from 2 to 6 is a toss-up. I mean, Stanford had a big jump because of this last weekend, but there was a lot of good movement, and Arizona State was one of the top movers, up 5 spots from 17 to 12, and I'm sure that I think with Kylie being a former Sun Devil and Jaden with a current Sun Devil family member on the team, and Kelly just knows everything because she's won everything. But what are your thoughts on Arizona State? So how's Arizona State doing? They have a new coach in Kathy Rohr now jumping in there, or Kristen, and immediate jump up in the polls. I imagine it's got to be one of the highest rankings that Arizona State has seen. But tell me about some of the athletes that you're familiar with on that roster there, and we'll start with Kylie since she's fresh out of Tempe.
It was really interesting for me seeing their roster this weekend because Samaya from GCU, I think, is injured because she wasn't playing in the lineup. Our twos blocker, who I think won a total of 3 games last season, she was at the ones and she won this weekend against good teams. A lot of freshmen in the lineup, and then fives. Adriana is one of my best friends. She was playing with Kendall, Jaden's sister, and they went undefeated too, which is awesome. And then our ones blocker at the threes, and yeah, I think Kristen and transfers too. I think she's doing a good job with that team.
Yeah. Well, they went so Adriana and Kendall went 4-0 on the weekend. But ASU defeated FAU, Georgia State, South Carolina, and Tampa. 4 solid wins, a great weekend. I think one of you sees them this week. Is it actually? of course, Alli, who's not here. They are hosting the Seminole Beach Bash, and I believe Tampa is there as well. Let's go higher up in the polls here. One team that has, I mean, I've been watching them closely because they've got a large international contingent with a lot of FIVB experience, at least the U19, U20s or 22s. It's FIU who went 5-0 this weekend. And I'm only familiar with probably 2 or 3 of the athletes, 4 if you count Ali Pertisi from transfer from Long Beach State. But I mean, they had some really strong wins: Coastal Carolina, North Florida, UTC, Palm Beach, Atlantic, and Jacksonville. But the way they won is 4-1s and really a large separation in the score. So can FIU do some damage on that right coast? Kelly, you know a whole bunch about them or know anything about them?
I don't know anyone on the team personally, but I remember last year playing FIU. They were like super solid, and it kind of took me by surprise because I never really like knew anyone on the team. At least growing up, I never really like knew the girls that were going there. But I don't know, they seem like they have a really good program. Also, their record from the last weekend just proves it goes back to like everyone just getting so much better. Like I don't know, they could probably I think they'll do some damage for sure.
Yeah. Anything to add that, Jaden or Kylie?
I mean, yeah, just I think they got like preseason like surprise team of the year for a reason. Like Kelly said, I think I personally don't know anyone on the team, but I think that's what makes them pretty surprising. It's like you don't really know who you're playing against across the net. And I think that's why they really surprise you.
Yeah. Kylie, anything to add?
I mean, yeah, I feel like the international level is going up a lot too. Like we saw in like the U19, U21 World Championships this year. I feel like normally the US team is like top 3, and I think they got ninth, which I feel like shows that the international level is pretty strong. So adding a team with a lot of international talent, I feel like they'll do some damage.
Well, that number 1 pair combination of Jada Bianchi and Reika Orsi Toth, you may recognize that name. Taking up a graduate year transfer from LMU, and she was paired up with Megan Rice, I believe, at the ones for LMU, and she is a phenomenal defender. And Giada Bianchi is 6'3", 6'4". So little easy defense for Reiko Orsi Toth behind that block, but they were undefeated this weekend, 4-0, and I'm curious how they're going to stack up when they end up facing teams like Florida State and other bigger teams at the ones. Like, for instance, like Zoe, and I imagine Brooke's going to be a lock for Stanford. I'm not sure if they see each other this year. I believe they do, but I got to look at the schedule. Let's jump over to one of the teams that's kind of not a shocker, but I don't know if I can say it with Kelly on screen. Team called Cal went 4-0 this weekend. Mortal enemy to Stanford, right? But
Yeah.
friends off the court.
Yeah. One thing I was surprised about Cal was Sierra Caffo. I don't know if she's hurt or I don't know what the deal is, but I figured she'd be in the lineup. So I think something's probably going on. But I don't know. The Cal's super solid, and all their teams. I was keeping up with their scores. I don't know really why, but I was looking at their Instagram the other day. I was like, oh, Cal. Like I'll look at their stories, and I was watching it, and all of them look super good. They also were switching out their fives a lot, so maybe they are still like figuring it out, which is good. Shows depth for their team. But yeah, they'll be super solid. I feel like Cal's always pretty solid, and like they're on the rise too.
Yep. Jaden, Kylie, anything to add on, Cal?
Yeah, we face Cal, I think, on Friday. So we definitely need to prepare for them. They're always really strong. I think 1 through 5, they have a scrappiness to their program. So just trying to prepare for them because they definitely always give us a fight.
Yeah. And Kylie, I feel like you got some to throw out there too.
Yeah, they added Laura Bowes from LSU, who's a pretty awesome player. She was playing this weekend, and I think Sierra is hurt. I heard in there she was resting this weekend.
Well, for a lineup that does have injury, every single pair went 4-0
Yeah.
this last weekend, which is amazing. Alex Young Gomez, Emma Donnelly at the ones, 4-0, Marilu Polly and Gia Fisher at the twos, Brooke Buckner, Lara Bowes at the threes, and then fours, Ella Drivels, Portia Sherman. But You're right. At the fives, they kind of were switching in and out to figure out who's gonna be that last position. But that's great for Cal. Not so good if you're in the Pac-12 because that's gonna be another battle on another day. But I mean, they're doing some great stuff up there, and they've definitely got the talent. And I know they have a bench behind there that they can go to as well as some of the recruits they brought in as well. So Cal's definitely one to watch. I feel like we can't not talk about TCU, who went undefeated as well. They were 4-0 this last weekend with wins, solid win over LSU 3-2, but that was a tight one. Washington 4-1, Central Arkansas and HCU were all 5-0 wins. But any thoughts on I guess we'll start with Kylie on this one. This is the in-state rival, TCU.
I think that they're a good team. And they've like kind of shown that over the past few years. I mean, Haley Hamlet's one of my really good friends. Her and Annalena went undefeated. And yeah, but I thought LSU's lineup was a little bit interesting.
I'm curious what part of it. I tried to look up the scores. So
There were some people that I thought would be in the lineup that weren't, and then one of their fives defenders that was moving between fives and sixes was at the ones. And then Ella Larkin and Ellie Shank at the fours and fives. I thought was interesting as well.
yeah, that's kind of deep for them. They're usually at the ones and twos.
Right.
I feel like if you're watching this, you can see the facial expressions. I wonder if there's some little magic trickery going on here. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
there
definitely
is
very
that strategic element to it though, where you have to spread your lineup up so you can win. I mean, especially now because before you used to be, oh, your ones through threes are fine, your fours and fives you can ignore, but it's so deep now. You're gonna have to mix it all up no matter how deep you are in the lineup. And I mean, looking at some of the teams and the disparity of like the experience, you had Zoe, who's a fifth year, and then Brooke, who's a first year, Brooke Rockwell. I was like, wow, that's an interesting combo there. And then you have like SC throwing two grad students together in Delaney and Megan at the ones, which they basically played their entire lives together. So not fair already. So, but it's amazing seeing what the coaches are doing on the court right now. And I'm always wondering if it's going to be locked in at this point. Like, I would think that, for instance, Stanford would be locked down with that lineup, what they saw. And I know, obviously, this is Jenny's first year at UCLA. She's going to be mixing some things up. I know Stein did that last year. UCLA is mixing things up all through the lineup. But I'm curious, at what point do they have to lock down a lineup? Is that early on? It's only, what, 8-9 week season? So
yeah,
that's got to be a challenge.
I feel like every team and every program's different. I mean, just depending on the coach and their roster that year, like anything can really happen. But I do know as a program for UCLA, typically we have a really, really strong team with a great bench. So bringing in people, that's not a super rare occurrence. And I know for other teams it's different, but yeah, I think that just shows like how many good beach volleyball players there are on every single program, which definitely is a nice thing for coaches and being able to switch partnerships like through sickness and injury, and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Um, I forgot to say for TCU, leading the way was, you did mention Haley Hamlet and her partner Annalena Camille 4-0. I believe they were the Conference USA Pair of the Week. So, like I said, when I was saying before you went on, social media is all over the place, and no one's really reporting anything yet on the team site. So, I am a hodgepodge. Whenever I can find it, I'm hopefully getting it. So, LMU was out at the Queens tournament. They come in at number 5 this week. They were fall one spot, after playing in the gauntlet tournament in the Hawaii. But Jacinda Ramirez and Anna Paloy at the threes were 5-1, and they're one of the top threes pairs in the nation right now. And Anna Paloy, the Italian blocker, physical and well deserved. But what did you guys see about LMU? Because I feel like they're a program that is ready to bust in to the top 5 and stay there now. So and throw whatever you know out about them. Let's go, Kelly. She's smiling and ready to go.
I don't know. I just think LMU is always super solid. Like every time their lineup comes out, it's like every player like is super good. Like Jacinda Ramirez, for example, like she just has such good ball control and like knows where to place their shots. Like I feel like when I think of LMU, I think of super good ball control and like super good shots, super good serves. Like they do the small things right. So playing them, it's always kind of like, okay, I know they're gonna serve tough, they're gonna be aggressive, and they're gonna be pretty consistent. Like that's kind of I feel like the game they like to play, which is a super solid one, is probably why they're in the top 5 and doing so well. But yeah, they have a lot of the team I played, Chloe Hooker, and I played her partner was she played indoor and then came and is now on the beach team as well. But I've known Chloe Hooker, I've played her in juniors for a long time. Kind of falls into that same category, super consistent, hard server. So yeah, I mean, all of their pairs I think are doing well, and I think they'll stay in the top 5. I think they should if they keep playing the
Yeah.
way they are right now.
Yep. Jane, do you have something to add? I thought I saw you kind of
Yeah.
stuck in.
Like you were saying, the LMU threes, I played against them and they were a phenomenal team. Like so good. What's her name? Anna, the
Anna
blocker.
Paloya. Yeah.
Yes, she got blocker of the tournament. And from experience, I can say she was such a good blocker. Like she was like delaying on me and swatting my shots. I was like, okay, like this girl is so good. And obviously Jacinda in the back just brings a different level of ball control, like Kelly was saying. Yeah, so their pairs are all great, 1 through 5. So they'll definitely be a team to watch throughout the season.
Yeah. Anything to add, Kylie?
Yeah, I feel like they're like known as the serving team. Their serves are pretty good. John's a great coach. Yeah. I didn't
Well, I'm pretty,
experience them this weekend, but from what I know, they're yeah, pretty good team.
well, one of the teams I was trying to get from our fourth contributor, Allie Hansen of Florida State, was her team. I was trying to get intel. I'm like, so who's going to be at the number ones? Who are you playing with? Are you blocking, defending? So, but they had a great weekend as well. Went 3-0 against UNF, Jacksonville, and Coastal Carolina. But what I wanted to see was the transfer Skylar German and where she'd end up. And she played at the ones with Maddie Anderson's. And let's just be real, that's just not fair. So, but I mean, I think you guys have experienced enough of their athletes. Allie played at the twos with Anna Long, which is another unfair. But I guess they're split blocking. So, yeah, I know that Anna's a good blocker, and Allie went at GCU I mean, that's what stuck out the most, that she was a great blocker. So now she's paired up with another blocker. I'm like, what's going to happen there? So, but thoughts on Florida State? Let's go with you, Kylie.
Yeah, it's funny. I played Allie a lot of times last year because that ASU GCU matchup happens a lot. She's a great blocker. And then yeah, Skylar too. And I actually played with Anna in juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're pretty stacked team. I feel like a lot of people in their lineup could kind of go anywhere.
How about you, Jaden?
Yeah, their team's looking super solid. And like we were talking about before, I feel like their program's known for switching their pairs like all throughout the season. You never really know who you're going to play when you face them, which I think can be difficult because usually when you start playing the same pair over and over again, you start to get a feel for, the kind of game you have to play. But because they changed their lineup so much, it's kind of hard, which I don't know if they do that on purpose, but
Yeah.
it definitely shows the depth of their roster.
Yeah. Kelly, anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. FSU is always super solid, always up there in the ratings. Brooke also, I feel like does such a good job with the program. Like I feel like everyone talks about how well she does as a coach, which is super awesome for them. And then Allie playing with another blocker too. Like I kind of it's kind of weird that I like it, but I like when two blockers play together because I feel like they're always so solid. Like and they can both defend. Like I think that's super strong pair for the twos. And then Maddie Anderson, she's just a baller. Like that's awesome for them. Like that's super solid ones and twos. I don't know the rest of their lineup. Was Kara Sasic in the lineup?
I didn't
I know
see it
she
in there. Like
played
I
at
had
the
to,
twos last year a little bit, and then I think she got taken out maybe for Gulf Shores, but she played with Ashley, my partner, so that's why I like know about her. And I played her in juniors all the time. So like I think she's super good too. So it's interesting if she's not in the lineup.
Well, I think they're playing around this weekend because it just seemed like there were a lot of names that showed up with stats. But
Yeah.
again, they're hosting the Seminole Beach Bash, and I have a feeling we're going to see the A team out there, and that's going to be the pretty locked in pairs at each of the spots. So I didn't want to avoid talking about UCLA and USC, but let's go with the number 2 team this week, USC. I thought some other people are going to be on the court. Not that the pairs that were out there weren't good, but you heard the talk in the fall. I'm like, oh, they'll be out there, and they didn't show up out there. So obviously, there's a whole lot of competition going on in the sands out there at Merrill Norman Stadium. So, thoughts on USC? What we saw this last weekend at Queens? Let's go, Kelly.
Yeah, USC. Their lineup, it was kind of interesting to me because I feel like some people that played last year aren't playing this year, which is, usually how it works. They have so many good recruits too. Like being a coach, I feel like at USC or UCLA must be so hard because every player is so good. Like their sixes I was watching, like that, I think USC versus UCLA, I was like, there's like a lot of sixes could play on like a lot of other teams. And like, that's just so cool about those programs. But I know in the fives, Ainsley is the blocker, and then it was Ashley Pater, and then she got switched out for Olivia Bakos, I think, to try something new, which is interesting because I know I played Olivia a lot last year because she was mostly on the fours, fives. So I don't know, it shows crazy competition. It was also great to see Maddie Chris because she used to play for Stanford, so that was fun.
He's on the wrong side of the tracks now in your
Yeah, I
eyes.
was like, come on, really? But she's great, and they did well. Her and her partner were awesome. So I don't know, it goes back also Delaney and Meg. Like, of course, they're gonna be super good. So they're
Yeah.
consistent, classic and consistent that they're good.
Jaden, how about you? Thoughts on your crosstown rival, the school
Yeah.
that shall not be named? That's why we
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a very strong program, and they did get a lot of grad transfers. Their blockers are super strong. And I think that they'll always be a great team. But yeah, the threes team that I played, Maddie Kriz and Grace Seitz from LSU, were a really strong pair. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what they do with their lineup moving forward. And yeah, see how they can be at their best.
Yeah. Kylie, any parting thoughts on USC?
Yeah, I feel like this weekend I was like on my phone, like refreshing, like trying to see all the lineups and stuff. But I feel like Meg and Delaney at the ones, like that's classic. The twins at twos, like makes sense. I was really interested to see the rest of the lineups with how much depth they have on their team. But yeah, a lot of good teams, players.
Yeah. And finally, number 1, UCLA. Jaden, I think you kind of know about this one. How about you start us off?
I this like whole turn the Hawaii tournament was just there was a lot of ups and downs for our team. But I just was really proud with like how we bounced back from going 0-2 on Friday to going 3-0 on Saturday. Our team just has a level of like grittiness, we like to say, and we don't usually get phased by things, especially like early in the season. Um, so I was just proud of that. But yeah, our pairs, we definitely have some new faces in our lineup. Like Kenzie Browser, she's on the fours, played against Kelly. She is a little firecracker, and I'm just really proud of her, as well as Ensley Alden. She played on the
Mhm.
fives for the first time, and her and Natalie had a great weekend. And yeah, just I'm really excited about our team, and I think it's just it's just another year, and we're gonna keep building and learning. But yeah, Hawaii was great.
Well, it's funny. My eyes on the beach, my eyewitnesses, are right. They said Lexi was being Lexi. She's always going to be a baller, and she's good. But as things that Maggie her partner Boyd was doing in the day 2 and in the, I guess the semis and finals, that really was a big difference. Like when she turned it on, that's when they became unstoppable.
Exactly. Yeah. It's cool seeing Maggie being, obviously she was a freshman last year to now she's a sophomore, and just how much she's grown and learned from Lexi is really cool. And you can see her confidence coming out, which is really important, and she's just the cutest in the world. So love that
That's
girl.
important. Well, she was the 2023 collegebeachvolleyball.com freshman of the year, or preseason freshman to watch. So seeing that come about is great. Well, let's ask Kelly and Kylie any thoughts on UCLA, and we'll just plug. We'll turn the audio off for Jaden to hear. So if you want to say anything negative, we can just do it.
Yeah, I mean, UCLA is awesome. I also like love watching Maggie and Lexi because it's kind of like the dynamic we were talking about with like a senior and like the freshman. I think that was good that they were put together like her freshman year because you could like also playing at the ones. I feel like as a freshman, I was kind of thinking about like Brooke on our team. Like that's such a like I don't know the correct word to say. I was gonna say eye-opening, but also like a lot of pressure. So like there's so much composure you have to build from that. And I don't know, I feel like when Maggie plays, she always seems super calm and like that's how she does so well. So that's awesome to see. Also, like all the defenders on UCLA, like I'm just thinking about like the lineup. It's like you got Devin and Perry. Perry's so good. Jaden also like such a good defender. Same with like Jesse. Like I was playing Jesse. I was like, God, they're all great. And so I don't know, super solid lineup. I also like it was great to see new face. I remember like Natalie, also in juniors, always super good. It's great to see her play with Ensley, also played her in juniors. So it's cool to see everyone like growing and developing. And it's nice, like I was gonna say about UCLA, I feel like they also switch up their lineup. Or I remember from last year, I don't know like what's going on this year, but it makes it harder on the opposing teams because it's like you never really know like who to scout because they can bring in someone that was probably like I don't know, I swear they could bring in someone that didn't travel and like you could play against them and it'd be such a hard game. So,
That's just the way the program is, right?
they're just like that. So
Kylie, anything to add on UCLA?
Yeah, I feel like the depth on UCLA is just awesome. Like so in depth because there's like girls who have been like huge winning parts of your team that aren't even in the lineup. That just like goes to show how much depth you guys have. And Maggie, like playing her in juniors, like being from Texas and everything, she's awesome. And like Ensley too, like cracking the lineup. I think that's awesome too.
Yeah. Well, one of the pairs I have to mention because they're one of the tops in the twos this last weekend. Devin Newberry and Perry Brennan, or PB5, the secret weapon for the Bruins, went 6-1 this last weekend. And I have to thank her family for streaming that. Oh, actually, and Jody Newberry too, who had that stream going hardcore, and former Marymount sailor with Kelly.
yeah.
So got to see all those matches because of Jody Newberry. But it's a great, exciting weekend without a doubt. And focusing on those four is because they were all top 10 teams in that tournament. And I was like, gosh, am I a coach? Do I want to go to that tournament to start off the year? But you got to play the best to be the best. So, I get that too. And like I said, you look at Hawaii 0-5 to start the weekend, but they're a good team. So with that, I know that there's only 3 guys on there, so I may add my player of the week too. But who are some players that really caught your eyes during this first weekend of play? And let's start with you, Kylie. You can name 1 or 2, or a
Oh,
pair, 2 pairs.
I think definitely a pair that caught my eye. Well, I mean, I feel like the pair that always catches my eye are like Lexi and Maggie or like Megan and Delaney. I feel like I always like are paying attention to them. But and I also really I liked watching Jaden and Tessa.
Aw, thanks.
And then
Kylie's Venmo is in her email, so you can just go and pay her right now.
and then like my friend, I mean the fives at ASU too, Kendall and Adriana.
Yeah,
Like I'll be excited to watch them throughout the season too.
great picks. How about you, Jaden? Who are some of the athletes that stuck out for you this last weekend, or pairs?
I Well, I love watching you, Kelly. I would like to say that
Thank you.
little defense firecracker. As well as Brooke on your team, Kelly, Rockwell. I was super impressed with her, obviously being a freshman, like you said. I think that takes a lot of guts, and she's just like fearless, which is really impressive. And then yeah, I'm really excited to watch my sister. I know that's a little bias of me, but I'm just so
All right,
proud of
she won.
her.
She has the record to back it up. So
Yeah, I know. I'm just so proud of her. It makes my heart so happy. Just seeing her do well. Um, and let's see. I like watching. Oh God, there's so many. I guess I'll say Maddie Anderson. I said she was one of my players to watch this year. I think she's always really fun to watch. And it'll be interesting to see how FSU as a whole does. So those are
yeah.
mine.
What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, this is such a hard question for me because I honestly love watching everyone. Like, I'm not gonna answer that. I'm gonna say people, but like everyone's like so great to watch and like watching like even the progression that people made from last year to this year. I was like, oh wow, like they really stepped up, and it kind of forces everyone to have to step up. But I love watching Perry. Like she just like is so good and like I don't even some of the shots she does. I'm like how. And then Jessie like playing against her too. Like I don't know, she's very composed and like obviously I feel like she could block as well, but she's so good at defending. It doesn't really like make sense to me. So that's good for them. And then also on USC, playing Maddie White, like she was on the fours. And last year she was on the twos, and I was kind of like, oh, didn't scout them. That's great because I didn't think she'd be there. But she's a firecracker. She has a heavy arm. So she's super good. And then I don't know, Maddie May too, obviously super good. Maddie Anderson. Um, yeah, those I feel like also I want to say Delaney and Meg, but they're just like super good. So obviously like everyone loves watching them, I feel like. But the competition is just so much better. Like any game you watch is gonna be close and like really good volleyball.
Yeah. Well, not gonna lie, Megan Delaney, always love seeing them play. The old Torrey Pines teammates to or alumni like Jaden. But watching the cardiac kids of the Cardinals go, or the Cardinal, and that's Kelly and Ashley. It was insane. I'm like, oh, they're down. Oh, this isn't looking good. Oh, they're down 0-1 and 18-11 in the second set. They're done. And then you guys come back, win 19-18 or 19-17 in the third. So it was a great run seeing you guys play. So
Oh,
um
thank you.
Yeah, I feel
great
like every
choices.
time I'm like watching your scores, Kelly, I'm like, oh, she's got it. She's got it. Like, come on.
So bad. It's so bad. Like, you actually need to work on it. But it was like I feel like the one I'm most proud of is probably when we were playing against USC and we were down 13-9 and we came back. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, honestly, like, don't know how we came back. A lot of like lucky things kind of happened for us. Like, I don't know. It all kind of ended up working out, which we were like, that's great for us. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, our final piece is what you watching this weekend. Now, I know we're running short on time, but pick one, I guess, tournament or a duel that's happening that you guys are watching. Let's start with you, reverse order, Kelly.
I'm excited to see UCLA and Cal. I don't really know where Cal like stacks up to. I don't know. I know the people on their lineup, everyone's good, but I'd like to see like that duel and how that plays out. Just because I kind of feel like I have a sense of like UCLA, like obviously they're gonna be super good. They're one right now. And so seeing how Cal does against them, I'm intrigued to see.
Okay, let's go over to Jaden.
I was gonna say the FSU tournament. I know that they're playing really good teams, so I want to see how they match up against some top 20 teams.
Yep, and then the Kylie.
Yeah, I was gonna say UCLA and Cal. That one is gonna be interesting too. And then also FSU Stetson. I feel like Stetson's always that like sneaky team that
Yep.
gets people. And then Washington and LSU, I think will also be an interesting one.
I'll throw mine in there. I'm just going to watch everything at the Battle for LA because I'm be working that on the mic for 2 days. So that's all I can watch. And if I'm watching something else, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing there. So But great choices, ladies. And that concludes episode 1 of the 2024 season. That's Jaden Whitmarsh of UCLA, Kylie Wickley of Texas, and Kelly Belardi, all world of Stanford. So thanks for joining us again this week, ladies.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Aspero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.